Can't get any words. Podcast on blast, giving you the real talk, no holding back. Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining. We'll set you free, so join the movement. Let's change the game with the Can't Get Any Worse Podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Can't Get Any Worse Podcast. Merry Fistmas, everyone. It is our Fistmas special here, live from Methlehem. It is Christmas week. This will be coming out on Christmas Eve. So this will be a nice little treat in your goodie bag for you guys. So, we're right smack bang in the middle of school holidays. So Nikita and the kids are right outside this door. And I would be pleasantly surprised if they do not barge in here at any stage of this podcast. So they're probably all standing there right now with their ears pressed up against the door. Should I do it? Should I do a test run? Can anyone hear me? Oh, nothing. They might be doing some funner shit than this. So I've decided for the next 2 weeks, so this episode and next week's, because all you guys are going to be on holidays anyway, and there's probably slim chance to anyone actually listening to this, probably just going to jump in here for about half an hour or so over the next 2 weeks and pretty much just do the first half of what the podcast is. I'll skip all the back end stuff and then we'll rip into that in the new year. But yeah, it is, like I said, Christmas time. Had my work Christmas party this year, and I don't know if it's me, whether I'm maturing or what the go is, but I literally said to Adrian the following day, I'm like, that was the first Christmas party I've ever been to where I didn't have like the desire to get smashed. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I was finally that old dude at the work Christmas party that just looks down on all the younger people. I'm like, oh, you guys are disgusting. But yeah, everyone was doing shots and stuff, and I'm like, nah, I don't think I could stomach a shot these days. Like watching them do it made me feel like I was about to throw up. But they tricked me. They tricked me into one. They go, oh, the boss wants to see you at the bar. And as soon as I walked in the door, I saw like maybe 10 of my co-workers standing next to the bar. I'm like, they've fucking tricked me. They've tricked me into it. And as soon as I knew that, I just lost all desire to be in that general vicinity. And I see the bartender start to rack up some Jaeger bombs. Now, I haven't done a Jaeger bomb for probably, I don't know, 8 years, maybe even 10 years. Who knows? But look, I was never a huge fan of them. Like, they go down pretty easy, but still, it seems like a young kid's game, you know what I mean? So, I'm standing there, the bartender finishes it, and the boss looks at me, he goes, oh, have you got anything to say to the boys for the year? I'm not the fucking boss, I got no speech prepared. So I just did what James here does best. I've looked at my co-workers, and I've raised my glass, and I've just said, I'm gay. And then I proceeded to drink my drink. So I think that pretty much sums up the year, how the year's been. It made everyone aware of how I feel about myself. And yeah, I think they appreciated it. I think my boss appreciated it as well, the kind words I said to the boys. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll be back next year. Maybe next year I'll be like, all right, when's this fucking Christmas party happening? Because I need to get fucking smashed. But all in all, lovely catch up with the boys, some lovely food, and yeah, that's work Christmas parties for you summed up. Sorry, I'm a bit off today. I'm literally, I guarantee, like it was chaos before I came in here, right? And I just know there's going to be screaming soon, or someone's going to come barging in the door. I feel it in my bones, but yeah, we got speaking about meltdowns, right? And this. Look, what's that trend that's going around the internet at the moment? We listen, but we don't judge. Have you guys seen that? It's going around like TikTok and Instagram, and it's couples that just sit there and they like say shit. They're like, oh, you look ugly when you trim your beard or something. And it's just a husband sitting there going, oh my God, I thought I looked good for the last 10 years. And now his wife's just like, I fucking hate the way you look. But once you've said your truth, you have to say we listen, but we don't judge. So that's what I need you guys to do right now. Now, we all know that my oldest son goes off the rails every now and then, right? Flips his lid, has some slight behavioural issues. We've touched on it on the podcast before. But last week he had possibly the biggest meltdown he's ever had, right? Now, I think Nikita and I handled it pretty well, but the silver lining in the whole story, right? The silver lining. Nikita went shopping. She went up to Woolworths earlier that afternoon. And she came home with possibly one of my most hated items from the grocery store. Like, Aussie classic, right? You come home with some bread rolls and a fucking roast chicken. Classic. Fucking quick, easy, delicious. Now, I like the classic chicken, right? Just get me a standard fucking hot chook. But every now and then, Nikita likes to dabble into the organic world and things like that. And every now and then she comes home with an organic chicken. First world problems. I get it. I understand you guys are probably like, okay, there's probably no fucking real difference. I like my chickens pumped full of steroids. And when you get a free-range chicken out of the bag, you can tell that thing is like, it's like the size of a pigeon. I fucking hate it, right? Now, Westy's mid-losing the plot, and he's throwing shit, and he's like picking up whatever he can find. Now, on the corner of the kitchen bench is this free-range chicken Nikita had bought earlier that day. And Weston's walked past it, and he's seen it. He's seen that as an opportunity of something else to throw. And I could have stopped him. There was a chance where I could have intervened and gone, no, don't do that. But in the back of my head, I'm like, if he doesn't throw this chicken, I have to eat that for dinner. So I've sort of put myself in slow motion. I'm like, oh, no, don't do that. And he's picked up the chicken, thrown it across the house. And I'm like, there goes our dinner. It's ruined. And Nikita goes, it's all good. It's in a bag. And I'm like, fuck, still going to have to eat this thing. But hats off to Westy. He walks over to the chicken that he's just thrown, which perhaps I should have disciplined. Well, I did discipline it later, but he walks over to the free-range chicken that he's just thrown across the room that now Nikita is still threatening is on the dinner table in a couple of minutes. And he has fucking curb stomped this free-range chicken to smithereens in the bag. So it's now just a plastic bag full of fucking smashed up chicken, shredded chicken. He's basically shredded the chicken for us, so we didn't have to do it. But so it was a blessing in disguise. Nikita goes, well, I guess we can't have the chicken now. I go, God damn it. No free-range chicken for me tonight. So that was a bit of a tangent. But anyway. Oh, should we keep on the food topic? Let's keep on food. Nikita and I dropped the kids at Mum's the other day. We went over to the shops to do the last bits and pieces for like our Christmas shopping. And we finished shopping. Every now and then when we go to the shops, we're like, oh, should we treat ourselves with a little bit of takeaway or something like that? Now, we didn't really feel like takeaway, but something we both love is sushi, right? Just getting a couple of bits of sushi for the drive home. I'm like, this is living. You can't beat this, right? Now, we proceed to the car. We unpack all the Christmas shit in the car. We get our little sushi packets out. We put them in the front seat. We've got a can of Coke in the cup holder. This could not be any better. This is going to be the most pleasant drive on the drive home. Just eating sushi and talking to my wife, you know what I mean? But we're 5 minutes into the drive. I go, babe, could I have a bit of my sushi, please? She goes, yeah, no worries. She leans down, picks up my sushi, pulls the rubber band off the little plastic container that you get your sushi in. And as the plastic seal is broken, as she's folded the lid back, the most rank smell that I've ever smelt in my life was just filled the car, right? It was like a gas explosion in the car. And I've gone, that sushi fucking stinks. And she's like, no, it's not the sushi. I think it's just something we drove past. And I've gone, I'm pretty sure it's the sushi. It does not smell right. I do not want to eat it. And she's like, stop being a little bitch. Eat the sushi. So she's passed me a piece of this sushi. And the smell is not going, right? We've gone back and forth for probably a minute now, arguing as to whether the smell is the sushi or not. And the smell is still in the car. So I'm like, it's definitely nothing we've driven past. Otherwise the smell would go. And she goes, you're being a little bitch. Eat the sushi. So I've got the piece of sushi and I've started to bring it up towards my mouth. And I knew. I was like, this is the sushi that fucking stinks. I'm not eating it. So I pass it back to her. She fucking folds the lid back over, puts the rubber band on. And I look over at her. I go, why aren't you eating your sushi? She's like, oh, you didn't eat yours. I'm like, yeah, but you said it wasn't the sushi. She's like, it was the sushi that stunk. I just wanted you to eat it. So my wife was threatening to feed me with fucking rotten sushi just for fun, just for the fun of it. So that's how our Christmas holidays are going. I hope that all your partners are doing loving, supporting acts just like that, just for you guys. What else we got up here? I jumped all over the shop. Oh, I jumped all over the shop there, so I don't know where I'm at. Did that. Oh, we might as well touch on that one while we're talking about Nikita. She this is just a Christmas shopping extravaganza, isn't it? So yesterday, I think it was, she forgot one thing or something. So she's like, I'm just going to run to the local Big W and just grab it while you've got the kids and they're occupied. And I'm like, sweet, lock it in. Now, she goes to the shops and she's perusing the aisles. And there's a couple of phone calls throughout her shopping adventure to me. Do you think I should get this? What do you reckon about this for so-and-so? Blah, blah, blah. You know, the usual. And she goes, I just found the coolest thing for, it might have even been Parker or something. And I'm like, oh, okay, just grab it. And she's like, I don't know. She's like, can I FaceTime you? And I'm like, sure. So she FaceTimes me. We have a generic back and forth for about a minute. I go, just get it. It looks cool. And she's still umming and ahhing. And then she starts to get quiet because there's now an elderly lady next to her. And I'm ready to get off the phone, right? So she's like, there's someone beside me now. So I'm like, how am I going to get off FaceTime with my wife? Now, Nikita doesn't have headphones like she does, but she doesn't use them to call people. So she's just FaceTiming someone out loud in the middle of Big W. And I want to get off the call. So what have I decided to do? I just start screaming profanities. I'm like, penis, big dick, oh my God, I'm coming. And you could see Nikita's panic in the camera as she's trying to fucking aggressively hit the hang up button and just like every now and then veering over to the elderly lady. So then she texts me, she's like, fuck you. So again, that's just some generic Christmas partner love. Oh dear. So that's that one. What are we up to? We're fucking, it's only 11 minutes. That's all right. Like I said, it's going to be a quick and just get an episode out basically. Oh, my Lord. What the fuck? I shouldn't have jumped all over the shop, hey? I think this is the only thing that I've got left up here. What better at Christmas time than to touch on the homeless story again? So they're still there. They're still out in force. I think did I? Oh, no, that's been... Okay, holy shit. Boy, do I have some shit to fill you guys in on, right? Because this was after last week's episode. I feel like this was like a year ago in my life. So we picked the kids up from... You guys are familiar with the homeless story, right? We've had rangers involved, police involved, yada, yada, yada. Now, we rock up from picking the kids up from vacation care last Wednesday or something, I think it was. We just got 4 cops in our front yard. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And they're looking at us pull up and then they're like, they decided to come and talk to us. And they're like, hey, they explain why they're here and they're looking for someone who might be in the area. And they're like, we've heard reports that someone might be living in the bushland. And I'm like, yeah. Like, we've reported it to police. We've reported it to council. Oh, I just saw the handle turn. Who's there? Uh-oh. Pause the... Oh. Someone just let the cat in. Who's there? Who's behind the door? The cat wants out. Who's that? Nikita. 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 Is that you? Is that you? Come say hi to everyone for the Christmas podcast. It's Parker. Is everything all good out there? Okay. Confirmation that all right, I'm back. Jesus, I've just had almost half the studio wiped out by a 4-year-old swinging doors. Apparently they want their papa, which who can blame him, right? He's pretty fucking cool. Anyway, I don't even know where I was at with that story. Anyway, they 4 cops in our yard and they're like, we're looking for this guy. I'm like, is it this guy? Show them my CCTV footage. They're like, that's fucking him. And then they start looking at each other and whispering and stuff. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? They're like, look, we don't want to freak you out, but he's like wanted for some pretty serious shit. And I'm like, oh, yes, this is sick. As if only I reported him to you guys like 2 or 3 weeks ago. That would have been amazing. We could have got the front foot on this guy. Anyway, so I've had to submit a heap of shit to the police, like all this fucking footage, blah, 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 give a report. And they're like, all right, every time you see him, you need to call Police Link and report it so we can keep a track on him and try and fucking line him up, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Now, we saw him another couple of times, but it was literally, he had come and gone. By the time we went through Police Link, it would have been a waste of time. But yesterday's where it all went downhill. This was my breaking point. I lost it. I get a notification on the camera again, and they're fucking in our front, like next to our front door, just acting as if our yard was their yard. I'm like, nah, this is fucking it. So I call Police Link, and they start to make me feel like I'm the criminal. Like, they start questioning why I'm even calling up and like why I'm wasting their time. And I'm trying to explain to them. I'm like, nah, we had officers here. They're like, call up and report anything if you see them again. I'm like, I'm doing what you guys asked me to do. Anyway, I was on the phone for 25 minutes with this guy. Up until the last 10 minutes, he was making me feel like I was a piece of shit. And then I dropped the officer's name that asked me to like submit all this shit. It was like a fucking light switch on this dude's head. He's like, oh okay, that's who's asked you to report. No, that definitely. Let me get my pen out. Can we get, and just fucking full went into report mode. I'm like, yeah, you fucking dog. Sorry, I didn't mean to call any police officers dogs just then. I've had my run-ins with them in the past. But all in all, nice guys, you know what I mean? I mean, they didn't catch the people that held guns to my wife and I's heads, but it is what it is. You can't catch them all, you know what I mean? They're not Ash Ketchum from Pokemon. Cool little reference there for you guys. Anyway, then I wasn't exactly happy with the service that I got from the police department, so I called the ranger, and the ranger's like, have you spoken to the police? I'm like, I just got off the phone to him. He's like, did they tell you anything? I'm like, no. And he's like, okay, I can't tell you anything either, but just know something big is coming in the next few days. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, I'm sitting at my front door now with my bowl of popcorn, just waiting for like SWAT teams to rappel out of the air and shit and just catch this guy. So we'll see. Hopefully next week I've got a bit more information as to where that's all at. But at the time of this recording, there is a dangerous man living behind my house that could potentially be a threat to my family and my life. And I'm in here recording a podcast to release on Christmas Eve for you guys not to listen to. Oh, so that's where my life's at. Anyway, let's hope something happens with that. Last little thing I wanted to touch on in my personal life is I'm trying to assess where I want to go in 2025, right? So I've started thinking about, obviously I spoke to you guys about the solo show, things like that. I've started to lightly pencil in some more regional shit. Just go out there on my own, put on a couple of shows, things like that. So slowly kitting myself out for that. And the other thing I've been seriously dabbling in is I found myself doing, like, pushing the 2 to 3 gigs more or less just to tick off a box, you know what I mean? Like, it seems to be a thing in the scene of every time you go to a gig, everyone will be like, hey, how are you? Yeah, good, that's good. Yeah, fucking how you been? Yada, yada, yada. How many gigs you doing a week at the moment? And some people are like, oh, I'm not doing much. I'm just trying to do like a couple of gigs a month. And then like people look down on them. And then you want to be sitting around like the 3 to 4 gigs a week. And then people are like, oh, okay, you're taking it seriously, blah, blah, blah. But I've said on here before, with the podcast, with the family, with everything else going on, 2 to 3 is my sort of happy spot. And I think that puts me like middle of the pack. Like, I'm not falling behind. I'm not shooting ahead. I'm just on that steady level. And I've sort of really started to question that the last couple of weeks. I'm like, it feels like I'm just ticking a box just to keep other people happy. And it's not really progressing me, if that makes sense. I'm going to these gigs. I'm bombing. People aren't wanting to fucking... Like, I'm not really getting anything out of it other than stage time, if that makes sense, which, don't get me wrong, it's probably more important than anything. But I've tried to work on ways that I can, like, almost build my own audience. Like, on top of the podcast, you guys that listen every week fucking appreciate it, like I always say. But I'm thinking of dabbling in the world of, like, live streaming a little bit, just to see what that's all about. And build a couple more followers there. Like I've said on here before, I've touched a little bit on TikTok Live, but from what I've seen, unless you do it consistently, like check in for an hour every day to those people will just drop off there as well. And I feel like I already have the space. Like there's nothing stopping me from coming in here for an hour after the kids go to bed at night and just jumping on TikTok Live for an hour, or even like Twitch or fucking, what are the other ones? Twitch or I forget the other ones, but there's fucking like 30 different live streamers out there at the moment. And I don't know, I feel like that might be another way to build a cool little community base and just build sort of, some, I don't know, fans sounds fucking gay, but you know, like a community or whatever. I don't know. So I'm thinking about dabbling in that, seeing if that's worth doing more than like one of these random gigs a week. So I don't know. We'll see. The other cool thing I was thinking, my own little spin on it, is I could live stream, do the regular live streams in here for an hour a night. But the nights that I do have gigs, I could almost take you guys along with me. So from me leaving the house, we could chat all the way from there to throughout the gig. I could record me doing the gig, maybe mute that so my material doesn't get out, but still have you guys watching me. And then fucking after the gig, like we can talk about whether I bombed or did well or whatever, which I don't see anyone really doing that at the moment. So I'm thinking that could be my own little spin on it. But I don't know. Stay posted. It could just burn by the end of January and I go, this is way too much work. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's touch on to, I said I was done for the year, but I got a late call up yesterday. They go, do you want a gig at the casino? I go, sure. Last time I was at the casino, fucking crushed. Why not? Let's end the year on another crush. Should have fucking left it. They always say don't go back for more. Now I got there, and it's kind of weird now that because that gig's at 6:30 on a Sunday afternoon, and this time of the year it's like daytime throughout. Like the room is just surrounded by windows, so it's just daytime. I'm like, this feels a bit weird, but is what it is. By the time I got on stage, it was dark, which was nice. I think I was third up. I was last before the break. And I don't know, like it was fun, but my material wasn't working. So I just had to really dip into talking to the crowd and stuff again, which was sick. Like, again, probably one of the better sets I've had interacting with the crowd. And then that would get them on stage for a little bit of my material. And then I'd lose them again when I started to go into like some of the more fuck shit. But yeah, the MC, I've been on a couple of gigs with him now. And look, I'm not a very memorable person, but it's sort of lit a bit of a what's that? Front door. Let's see this. It lit a bit of a fire in my belly because he jumped up and right before he was introducing me, he goes, what is going on? My front door camera's going nuts and the dog was barking. He goes, I've only been on like one gig with this guy. I don't really know him. And I'm like, that is a fucking terrible introduction. So then that little fire under me, I'm like, all right, I'm going to make this guy fucking remember me. So I got up there and had a sneaky little crush on the crowd work and stuff. Material up and down, like I said. But it was more of a point of like, all right, remember me now, buddy. You will not say that again. But yeah, that's pretty much where that was at. I think that's it now, but stay tuned. There could be something else coming up. A couple of things. Again, not going to go too much into detail. If you want to watch them, watch them. If not, don't. But I watched Ronny Chieng's new comedy special on Netflix. It was okay. I got a couple of laughs out of it, but wasn't really my style or liking, so I'd give it a miss. But the big one this week that I fucking enjoyed like crazy, I've said it before, but probably my favourite Australian comedian is Damien Power. Now, he's released his next comedy special on YouTube for free. But the big thing on this, well, let's touch on that first. Another crazy special from this guy. He is hands down one of the funniest people I've seen, like genuinely. And this special is perfect. It's a 40-minute special, which to me, like I've been playing around with this solo show that I've been writing, and I'm probably at that 40 to 45-minute mark, and I'm sort of, for the longest time back when I started it, I was trying to stretch for that hour, and I'm like, would it almost be better just to come out with a strong 40 to 45 minutes and just leave people happy with that, which I think that's probably where most people are heading at the moment. Like, I know Netflix released some stats where a lot of people only watch to like that 30 to 40 minute mark of specials on Netflix. So a lot of comedians have started putting their closer halfway in their special just so it like gets to the crowd, if that makes sense. So I don't know, that made me open my eyes a little bit more, that if someone to his level is doing that, then maybe that's the right thing to do. Who knows? But go check that out. The big thing with that though is, and I was meant to talk about this a couple of weeks ago, but it just completely slipped my mind and I forgot to make note of it, is Damien Power jumped on his Instagram and he's like, as many of you know, my management basically went bankrupt, and there's probably 30 Australian comedians at the moment that are now left in the dark without management and things like that. And Damien Power's one. Another one, friend of the show, been on before, Andrew Hamilton, the mushroom dealer, if that rings any bells. He was the same deal. He lost his management. He basically lost all his Australian touring money that he just did a big Australian tour and just lost all that money. So hats off to all these guys, though. They're still super positive about the whole experience. Like, I feel like I'd be pretty shitty. Like, another Brisbane comedian, I was talking to him at Newmarket last week, and he was meant to move to America, like, this month, December. And his management had set up all this stuff for him over there, and now they've gone bankrupt. He's just left in the dark. All his visas and stuff are cancelled. And again, he's just like, oh, it'll happen when it happens. And I'm like, fuck, like that's mental. But hats off to everyone that's taken it on the chin and yeah, seeing the silver lining in it all. But Damien Power basically said he's now had to self-fund this entire special, things like that. Like, he's got no backing for it. So he's sort of set up like a donation link on the YouTube video. And he said in the Instagram reel that he released that any money that is donated to the special will just be going straight back to like the staff and not the staff, the fucking like production crew and stuff that put the special together, which I think is pretty cool, because obviously they're all left in the dark as well as these big faces of comedy. So go check it out. I guarantee it's funny as fuck. He's got a bit in there about the building industry, which again, I jotted something similar down back in the early days, but I just could never pull it off. And it was kind of cool. Like, every now and then you see someone do a bit that you had an idea about and you just get jealous. You're like, fuck, why didn't I think about that? But then I watched him do this bit. I'm like, that's perfect. That's what I was trying to sum up. But this is why you're a master and I'm a fucking apprentice. So check it out. Movie that I watched this week that I thoroughly enjoyed until Adrian and Ash broke it down to the fucking T, and I'm like, you're right, that was a fucking shit movie. But I agree with them on a level. So I'm talking about Carry On Netflix. A lot of people have probably seen it by now, but it's a pretty cool, like, suspenseful thriller. I don't know if it's a thriller, I don't know, but it builds suspense. Like, it gave me so much anxiety, right? And I messaged Adrian and Ash because Adrian had seen it before me. He goes, cool movie, but the ending's shit. I messaged him about an hour 20 in and I go, this movie's fucking sick. I have so much anxiety right now. Please don't tell me the ending ruins it. And I continued to watch, and so I sent that message about an hour 20. About an hour 25, I genuinely feel like they had a deadline for this movie and they've just punched it into ChatGPT, into AI, and they're like, please write the ending to this movie because we're stuck. And then the last like 40 minutes of the movie basically turned into a Fast and Furious movie. Like, it felt like a completely different movie. Like, everything up to that point was all building suspense, and it was all like what's the word? Not like action-packed, like made you think and things like that. I don't know the correct word for that. But then at the end, it was just this dude just turned into an action hero somehow. And it was like, okay, it's unbelievable. But it was still a cool movie. I still liked it. So go check it out. What else we got? I think that's about it, eh? I think we might pull the pin there. Call it early. Where are we at? Oh, we're about 30 minutes. See, I told you it would be about 30 minutes. So next week will probably be pretty similar based on the last couple of years. The reason I'm just doing these short, punchy ones is the last couple of years I've done the full ones, and listener rates are pretty low these couple of weeks. Everyone's spending time with family or traveling or whatever, you know what I mean? You don't have time to sit around at the Christmas barbecue and be like, hey, Nan, have you heard the Can't Get Any Worse podcast? And then she's just like, shut the fuck up, Timmy. You're a fucking disappointment. You know what I mean? That's just how my family barbecues go. I don't know about you guys. But yeah, nothing on this week that I know of yet. Again, might get another last minute call up, but at this stage, I think this is it. I think I'm done for 2024. We've got one more podcast to come out. I think that's pretty crazy. So this podcast comes out on Christmas Eve. I think the next one comes out on New Year's Eve from what I lightly looked at yesterday. So I'm there for all the big holidays for you guys. So strap in, enjoy your time, have a couple of drinks this Christmas. Don't say anything that you might regret to your family. Keep it all PG, but do spread the word of the podcast around. Spread the word of the podcast around to your family at Christmas this year as if it was the word of the Lord. I would appreciate that. Like I said, some pretty cool things coming in 2025. Some guests lined up, more of the UFC chats. Just going to be fucking pounding podcasts into the ground, you know what I mean? So thanks for coming along for the journey. Have a good Christmas, everyone. Say Merry Christmas to your families for me. If I don't talk to you before next week, I will see you later.
Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining. We'll set you free, so join